Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we are going to have a look at a brand new release of a Learjet 35A by Flysimware. Now Flysimware are best known for their Cessna 414 Chancellor, and that was a really good plane back in the day, and now they came up with a rework of their previous Learjet 35A for Microsoft Flight Simulator this time. So, as you can already see, they do have quite a couple of neat features here, like chocks in place, like pitot covers, like windshield covers, engine covers, and so on. But before we start actually flying, let's have a quick talk about what this airplane is at the moment of this video, because it is quite important. It was released as an early access, currently costing $40 US, and is available through the Flysimware website, and it is an early access. That's the most important thing. Things like the cockpit textures are still going to get reworks, so this video is going to serve as a good idea of what this airplane can turn into, but it is not yet really a full-blown version, and especially the cockpit textures are still subject to change with later versions. So you can kind of see that they took a lot of their P3D textures in the cockpit at the moment. Now, let's just quickly head straight over into the cockpit, and we are going to have a more detailed look in flight, but for now let's just take out the electronic flight bag over here, and we are going to remove some of the covers. So front covers, pitot covers, engine covers. We'll have the chocks in place for the duration where we do the walk around. Okay, so that much about the EFB for now. We'll get back to that later, so let's just stow it away again, and then let's just go out and have a quick walk around. Learjet 35A is one of the most successful Learjets at its time, and one of the most successful business jets overall, with a total range of about 2,000 nautical miles, flying at up to 45,000 feet of altitude. So let's just go ahead and start our walk around, as we want to get a more detailed look on what Flysimware is up to this time. So first of all, starting in the front, we got our angle of attack probe, we got our pitot probes, and then we can already head down to the nose landing gear. That's the term I'm looking for. Very nice model of the chocks as well, by the way, over here. That's really worth pointing out. The gear bay itself is also looking quite good. Maybe a room for a little bit more detail over here. But on the other hand side, I have to say I've never seen the gear bay of a Learjet, so maybe it's realistic the way it is looking right now. Okay, so in any case, what we can say is good level of detail here on the front of the plane. Just have a look at those screws and the detailing of the paint around them. That's some really good job there. Okay, so that's our Learjet from the front, looking really nice if you ask me. I really appreciate this. And then we can have a look at the other side. Again, the AOA vane, pitot tube, and the total air temperature probe down here. And then moving onwards to the back, we've got our wing light up here, and then further to the back, what I really like, we can see how all the sunshades are closed in the cabin right now, but when you open them inside the actual cabin, then they will actually open on the outside as well, of course. So that's quite cool. You can really configure it to your likings. We are just about picking up our private aircraft over here, parked at Van Nuys Airport, and we're going to make a quick trip over to Sedona with it. So obviously we still had it in a mostly parked configuration, just pulled out of the hangar. Okay, there. That's our landing lights down here, and a look at the main wheel, looking quite good as well, and a quick look into the gear bay, where we also can find a little bit of details. Okay then, let's move along the wing. The wing on the Learjet is actually originally of a fighter jet design, and Bill Lear, the mastermind behind Learjet, just bought that design and made the first Learjet out of it. And it still sticks to this day, so it's a really agile plane to fly, that much I can tell you already. So, our landing light could perhaps use a little more details, if that is the landing light at all, but I wouldn't know what else that could be. Then we get up to the tip tanks, and this certainly does look like a landing light to me, or at least to some sort of a light. Now what's quite interesting to see over here is that on the inside we got that black covering, and on the outside we got the actual light. So tip tanks and the Learjets are a whole topic for themselves, so I'm not going to go into too much detail right now over here, but suffice to say that they almost double the range of the plane. We'll be able to see a bit more detail about that later on when we look into the electronic flight bag. Alright, so good level of detail over here. Quick look at the aileron, which is looking fairly large, but you will notice that it doesn't only look large, it actually is, as soon as we get the Learjet flying. So that's a really great control surface. Okay, flaps looking good as well. Maybe just have a look at the connections over here. So that looks like things may be slightly displaced, but nice to see that we got some level of detail in here as well. That's actually looking quite cool. Okay, then up to the engine. Thrust reversers, yes, it does have thrust reversers. And look at the inside, good level of detail over here as well. Just look at the turbine down there. That's quite cool. Okay then, moving on to the back of the airplane. We've got the dorsal fins down here, which were required in order to prevent the airplane from easily entering spins. And then obviously look at the tailplane with the famous T-tails that we find on most business jets these days. Looking really good modeling here. And then we can just go ahead and have a quick look at the rest of the airplane, which we can say is looking quite good over here. So overall, some very good modeling done. A little bit of work in progress probably over here, like you got that black covering, which from the outside you can see through it, from the inside you can't. Well, probably just a work in progress, I suppose. So how about we now go inside? And here we are. So we are going to have a little bit more detailed look at the cockpit later on. For now, let's just grab our EFB again, and we are going to do our first setup. So right now, I could just close the cabin door through the electronic flight bag, but I want to show you just that you can also do it manually. So we can first raise the lower part of the door and lock that up. Then we can get the upper part of the door down. Like that. The only thing that I didn't come across yet is how to close the lever over here, how to lock that. So, really not sure how to do that. Unfortunately, at this point of this recording, there is no manual available for the airplane yet, because it is still in early access. What we are going to have a look at later on as well is the different lights over here, all of which can be handled through the cabin. Okay then, so that much about the back part of that much about the door yet. I am just going to close it through the EFB over here, and like that it is actually going to latch as well. If we have a look now, then it's latched. To open it, you can just do it yourself, but closing it, not 100% sure. Just going to use the EFB for that for now. Probably a work in progress. The entire plane is still quite a work in progress, so don't be surprised about that. Okay, cool. Then we can remove the chocks as well. Our parking brake is set down here. And then let's just go ahead and go through our loadout. So we're going to start, as I mentioned, we are doing a little family trip over here. So let's just take a couple of people on board. Like that. And maybe we want some more. Okay, so that's looking good. Then I'd say we also take a co-pilot and a pilot. Now, in the cockpit, you don't have physical models of the people. In the cabin you do. We'll have a more detailed look into that later on. Okay, so refueling of the plane, as I mentioned. What's quite cool, they show you the range with the current loadout of fuel. So over here, when playing around with it, we can see with our current loadout, we got a 1003 nautical mile range. Now, if we fill up the fuselage tank, we get a little bit more. And if we have a look at the tip tanks now, we're at 1003 nautical miles. I put them up, look at that. That's 800 nautical miles extra just for the tip tanks. Alright, so that's a really cool feature over there. What I'm not so sure about is the center of gravity showing red over here. However, it does seem to show right inside the marked area. So not exactly sure. Maybe they just made it red because it's an important value, not because it's out of boundaries. I'm not 100% sure about that. Okay, so final thing then would be the checklists that we got over here. I really hope that at some point they're going to add Navigraph charts. Right now they don't seem to have them. But over here we got all the checklists available for the airplane. That is, however, the only source of information we have right now, because they do not have a manual at this point. So we just gotta live with what we got over here. Now, we could either fly it through the checklist over here, but I'm going to cut things a little bit short, because overall, knowing general aviation, they typically don't follow everything as precisely. Just throwing that out over here. Okay, so then let's go ahead and start powering it up. So, general overlook of the plane. Switches are mostly off, as they are supposed to be. Then going over to the other end side, hydraulic pump should be off. That thing is actually time limited, so this can only run for 3 minutes at a time and then needs a 20-minute cooling cycle. Okay, and then over to the other side, our lights over there are currently all off. Okay, looking good. Then I'd say we can start powering it up. So, batteries coming on. We're going to fly with the GNS 530 today, but you can also install the 750 or in this airplane as well, so both are available. But today I kind of like my old school cockpit to run with the old school GPS as well. Gives it a little bit more of an authentic feeling, honestly. Okay then, so that much about this part. Then let's go ahead and we'll go straight for the engine start. So we did remove all the covers outside, did we? Yes, we did. Looking really good, by the way, isn't it? Okay then, so all the covers are removed, all that stuff is gone. Then let's go ahead and we'll just turn on the inverters as well. Okay, fasten seatbelt sign can come on. Test switch. The cabin altitude works fine for now. The rest of it doesn't really seem to be implemented yet. As you can see, pressing all the tests over here doesn't really seem to do anything. So that's probably still a work in progress of the pre-release version we got. In any case, the important thing for us over here is that we pre-select our cabin altitude to our planned cruising altitude, and I do plan to take it all the way up to 45 today, so let's do it like that. Alright then. On the other hand side, we'll put on the beacon, and then I'd say we move down. Our fuel levers are in the cutoff position right now. That's what it would otherwise look like. So that cutoff, flaps 8 is our parking position. Fuel jettison off, jet pumps are on. Standby pumps not yet. Fuel quantity about 3,000 pounds is looking good. And we are not going to transfer anything for now. Autopilot is completely off, and so are the radios. So everything looking good down here. Okay, cool. Then let's go ahead with our engine start. So we'll start with the left engine, and you can see the start switches on the example of the right. On the top side you got the generator, on the lower side you got the starter. So let's go ahead and start engine. Well, starting left engine. Okay, turbine speed's increasing. If you want a quick reference for anything like over here, you can always just have a look in here. Okay, so 20%. Fuel on. Oil pressure is rising. Fuel flow looking good. Okay, good start on engine 1. Generator is online and starting engine 2. So, turbine speed is on the top. That's rather unusual. So the turbine speed is what you probably rather know as N2. And then you got the fan speed, which is N1 at the bottom. So that's a little unusual. So when the turbine speed reaches 20%, we're going to turn on the fuel, which is now. And off we go, the engine is starting. Okay then, running up, stabilizing, and here we go. Okay, both engines are stable, generators coming online, and now we can start with our switching triad. So, we don't need any anti-ice for now, but pitot can come on. Radio altimeter, autopilot, avionic master, emergency battery on standby. Then, everything is on the electrical. So, stall warning on, don't need the lights yet, and that's looking good. And then over to the other side, we'll turn on the nav lights as well already. And we can definitely put that climate control up a bit. Let's just put it in the middle, and that should be good. Okay then, lower side looks good, jet pumps on, and that is okay. And then, the final thing here, before we start to taxi, and that is a pretty interesting one. That's the steering lock button down here. Now, right now you see no light illuminated here except for the takeoff trim. Now that one we can quickly set as well. You see by default it's completely trimmed nose down. So our CG is close to the aft limit, so we'll trim it up to that. Okay, now frequencies, we got 1228 active. And then we got the steering lock button. If I'm pressing that, we get the steering on button over here. That one you need to press in order to get nose wheel steering to operate. So that's something that is easily forgotten, and if you forget that, then you will end up unable to steer your airplane. So rather important thing there. Okay then, quick GPS setup. Quickly turning on everything down here. Weather radar, as far as I'm aware, is inoperative in this airplane for now. Oh no, it is operative. Okay, I didn't say anything. But we're going to put it on the weather mode. But the tilt is inoperative, okay. Well, so let's just turn it back to standby. And we're flying IFR, so a little IFR squawk in there as well. Okay, cool. Then let's go ahead and enter our flight plan. So we're in Van Nuys, KV and Y. Here we are. And then let's go ahead. So procedure, departure. What do we have then? Current weather is 2503, so not really anything to worry about in terms of the weather. Altimeter 3009, let's go ahead and set that up here. So 3009, and they do not synchronize, okay, so we gotta set it on both altimeters. Like that, perfect. Okay, so our departure is going to be the Hayes 9 departure towards Hotel Echo Charlie. 34 left looks good, and we're looking at Hotel Echo Charlie. Okay, load that up. No, VNY is certainly not our destination. So, then we'll fly via Echo Echo Delta. Hey, what's that doing? Why can I not enter? Oh, only if I go backwards, that's interesting. So, Echo Echo Delta, Needles VOR. Looks good. From there we'll fly to Delta Romeo Kilo. So that's Delta, Romeo, Kilo, Drake VOR, and then from there, just give me that cursor once again. My cursor is doing interesting things today. Okay, so from there we go towards Sedona, which is Kilo Zulu Echo. Kilo Sierra Echo Zulu. And here we go. Okay, perfect. We'll enter the arrival later on when we're en route. So that should be about it for now. Very good. So that's our setup completed. Let's go into the normal nav mode over here. And that's about it. So 1228 into the comm over here as well. Like that. Active. Very good. Okay, cool. GPS is selected, and down here we are showing GPS nav as well, and that is selected on both sides. The only thing here is that the course is not automatically set, so we do need to set that ourselves. So initially 344 degrees, like that. And the heading we can match as well, looking good. Okay, very good. So that should be pretty much everything done then. Everything done for the setup over here. Oh no, there's one more. That's the altitude pre-selected down here. We're going to start with 5,000 feet for the initial climb. So that's it now. Okay, perfect. Setup is done. Maybe we can just set our N1 reminder. That's just a reminder though, so 95%, 95.0. If we had the proper stuff in the manual to do a setup, then we would obviously do that at this point, but unfortunately we don't. Because there is no manual yet. Work in progress. Early access, remember? Okay then, so... what I do like though is that it automatically sets those speed box for us. We can change them if we want to, but 120 rotate, 130 initial climb does look good to me. Then we're just going to put the reminder up to whatever speed limit we want to fly initially, and that is going to be 250. Okay then. So with that, we should be all good to go. Alright, clear left side, clear right side. We'll turn the taxi lights on. They are nicely hidden, by the way, so that's our taxi lights. Alright, park and brake off, verify that the steering is indeed on, which it is. We don't need that anymore. Let's get a little nicer view of the cockpit here. Okay. Then, off we go. I'm not 100% sure what that clicking sound is that we constantly hear in this airplane. Right. Now it's stopped again, but we'll probably hear it again. Alright, the wind is going to be directly cross 3 knots, so really nothing to worry about at all. Clear left side, clear right side. I do realize I'm probably going a little bit fast here, but that's fine, is it? Nice looking airplane. Really appreciate it. It's good to see a Learjet. Really good to see a Learjet in here. Personally, I would of course love a Learjet 70, but this is going to do for now. Okay then, back into the cockpit. Taxiing all along. I do believe we are approaching the NetJets hangars right now. Do you think that's them? No. Okay, it's not. But these guys have a really nice terminal here. And while I'm watching all the other hangars, I'm getting off my center line. That was so clear. Okay, as you can see, it's slowly but steadily accelerating here as we go straight. So let's start breaking it back down. Okay, we'll hold short for a short moment. So, one more altimeter is set, just while I'm seeing it. 3009 is in. Okay then, so, we don't really have any manual to tell us any flight profiles. So what we're going to do is to fly typical business jet profile. That's limit the deck angle, accelerate, retract flaps when airborne, and that's basically it. Now, what we do need to take care of, however, is our engines. So it's very easy when you just slam the thrust levers all the way forward, since you don't have a FADEC, to run them too hot and exceed the temperature limits. So that is something that we will take a close look at during our flight, and that we have to make sure we don't mess up. Okay, so with that now said, cabin air on, strobe lights on, recognition lights on, and then we'll also put the landing lights on. Ignition for the takeoff, for whatever it's worth, and flaps are in the 8-degree notch already. Okay, very good. So, arming the thrust reversers, in case of an RTO, and that's it. Okay, clear left side, clear right side. Alright. So then, lap timer selected. Starting the watch, and off we go. I'll keep on the brakes here until our engines are stabilized, just because the thing is very powerful. So we'll do things slowly. Okay, reaching the high temperatures, so this is where we're limited right now. Okay, looks good to me. Take off. $80 knots, checked. V1, rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Flaps up. Always love it when flying a business jet and just looking outside the window how quick these things are to climb. Just look at that. Lovely, isn't it? $5,000 feet a minute, easy. And look at the yoke movement compared to the resulting roll rate. That's really great, great power that this airplane has. Okay then, let's continue climb. Initially we'll go up to 11,000, and we'll have the speed increase to 50. I'm hand flying it for now, just to get a little feeling of the plane, but you can see I'm doing really small movements here on my yoke, and the thing is really agile with them. Also look at the rate of climb here, 5,000 feet a minute, almost 6,000. By now we could probably add a little bit more thrust. And let's see if we can crack the 6,000 feet a minute. Worth noting, our engine 2 is running quite a bit cooler than our engine number 1, so we'll just match the power on the 2. So 5,000 feet a minute is about what we get. Quick look then. Our cabin is pressurizing slowly but steadily. That's the most important for us over here. Then let's go ahead and continue the climb all the way up to 20,000 feet. Okay then, 3 minutes since setting power and we're passing 10,000. That is lovely, isn't it? Drifting slightly to the right, but I don't really see sense to correct overly strong there. So look at how my airplane responds now at these speeds. That's a really small input, especially on the elevator. And the airplane just reacts really nicely. One thing that's worth noting is that we need to set the course on the HSI there manually. So that's not automatic in the Learjet. We need to do that stuff ourselves. You can see how easy it is to overshoot a turn when you don't initiate it at the right point in time. But okay, let's get a little help. We'll arm the nav mode. We'll also put on the speed mode. So that looks about right for the course over here. 060 is our next target, so that is now set. Flies really nicely, doesn't it? I really appreciate it. Okay then, I'm going to put on the autopilot. Then let's see how that's going to go. In the meantime, reverse is disarmed. We'll continue the climb. Looking for 45,000 now. And we're passing transition altitude, so set standard. Looks like now it's working. Not sure why it took so long. So 2992, and over here, press it as well. Seems to take a little while when you push it, but that is fine. Okay, so already passing 21,000. Looks like the dial for the Mach numbers is a little jumpy there. That is gonna be well, that is gonna be all right. I was about to say. Okay, let's do vertical speed hold, and then that's interesting. Now, in order to control the vertical speed, we need to control that little knob on the control column here. Like that, you can tell it like, okay, pitch up, pitch down. Like that, you can control it. We're back at 250 knots, so let's go speed mode again, speed hold. And that is pretty much how you fly the Learjet. So, as you can see, this is really worth binding to your hardware. And at the point of this recording, you need an external tool like Spot Next for it. But they are working on putting, or on synchronizing this with the default MSFS keybinds. So, hopefully that is going to be done rather soon. Okay, let's set the altitude all the way up. 45,000 is what we're looking for. Set. Okay, 45,000 checked. In the meantime, always keep having an eye on your engines. You can see the right one really runs quite a bit colder than the left one, which indicates the right one has better maintenance. But obviously, we want to synchronize power, so let's just help ourselves using the engine sync. Okay, looks like for some reason that knob doesn't work yet. Okay, so be it. We can't use the engine sync. Alright, going all the way up. So, track should be 0 to 8 now. So, it needs a little getting used to initially, that we constantly have to adjust the course to match the GPS desired course. But once you got that in, it becomes second nature. It is realistic though. In the real Learjet, you'd have exactly the same problem. Okay, next up is going to be 066 track. Like that, 066. Always match the heading buck as well. Okay, passing 30,000 feet. Quick look down at the pressurization, which is looking good. Cabin is climbing along nicely. And now we could probably also put that radar on up here. Even though I'm not sure what exactly I expect to see because, well, just have a look outside. There is nothing to be shown on that radar. Maybe we can play around a bit with the map mode then. But doesn't look like that would give me any decent returns either. So be it. Okay, so keeping an eye on the turbine temperatures here. Number 1 is just about under the limit for the entire time already, so that is okay. 2,000 feet a minute rate of climb, passing 30,000, that's quite good. Very nice performance of that plane. Very, very nice performance. If you look at that, it's really cool. Okay, so next course 074, matched. Okay, and we're reaching our crossover altitude. Now the Learjet does not have a Mach hold mode, only speed mode. So we need to go vertical speed now, and we need to do that ourselves. So let's just bring the nose up a bit. Maybe do something like 2,500 or so. And now we just got to keep an eye on the speed over here, making sure that we maintain Mach 0.7 in the climb. Okay, in the meantime, we've been so busy flying the plane we didn't even do our after takeoff stuff, so ignition can come off, landing lights can come off, seatbelts, yeah, tell you what, can come off as well, and we'll also put the recognition lights off. Okay, so, with that we're now up in the air. So it looks like we need to pitch down just a tiny bit. So that's really just tiny inputs we're doing now in order to keep our speed at Mach 0.7 for the climb. So just 10,000 to go. But it's really still giving us a very good rate of climbing. 2,000 feet a minute at level 360. That's excellent. That is really excellent. Okay, 1 degree to the right, 075. Maybe we can also add a little bit more thrust again. Especially the number 1 is the interesting one here. I want to keep it at 850 degrees, not higher. And now they're both even. Very good. But engine number 2 really has the much better maintenance over here. Number 1 is running really warm. Okay, pitch down a tiny bit. That might have been a tiny bit too much. So pitch up again a bit. It's incredible if you look at how small the pitch changes are, what the resultant vertical speed of that is. That really shows you how sensitive aircraft can become when flying at these kind of speeds and at the high Mach numbers. Already down to 220 indicated. But no worries, when we're up in cruise, we can go all the way back up to Mach 0.8 again. It's just for the climb that we need to maintain a little bit lower Mach number, like we are basically doing right now. Also, could have turned on that transponder. Okay, track 073 coming up next. But look at that, still doing 1,500 feet a minute, passing 390. But you can see our rate of climb is slowly starting to drop, which is completely expected, of course. But I am confident that we'll reach level 450 like 16-17 minutes after takeoff, which is quite an incredible performance. So, just like I mentioned on the ground, the wing of the plane is derived from a fighter jet. Bill Lear just bought the design and then built the Learjet on it. So that's why you get such incredible performance out of the plane, and that's why it flies that sporty as well. It's a really good design that they came up with. Okay, passing 40,000, still doing 1,400 feet a minute, which is still pretty good. Cabin pressurization looking good as well, 7,000 feet now, well within the maximum differential pressure. And talking about maximum differential pressure, that's something worth pointing out here as well. If you have a look at this gauge, you can see that the maximum is at about 9.8. Compare that to your typical 8 psi max differential that you got on airliners, and you can see that's a really sturdy airframe there. Okay, so let's arm altitude select. (1,300 feet a minute rate of climb now, but just 4,000 to go, so we're almost up there. So I guess I've been rather spot on with this 16 minutes or so for the climb, probably 17, but that's looking quite good. Okay, once we're up in cruise flight, we are going to have a little bit more detailed look at power management, so maintaining your cruising speed without overspeeding the airplane. And when we are in a stable cruise, we are going to have a look at the passenger cabin and some of the level of detail that we got in there. 1,200 feet a minute now, passing 420. A little bit of information there for you guys. So, for many of you, flying above flight level 410 is probably going to be new. So, here's what you need to know. The reduced vertical separation minima airspace ends at flight level 410. So many of you know that when flying eastbound you would normally fly on an odd flight level, and flying westbound you would fly on an even flight level. However, that only works in RVSM airspace and below. Now, as I mentioned, RVSM airspace ends at roughly, or not roughly, but at exactly 41,000 feet. So above that, you need to apply 2,000 feet vertical separation. So that means flight level 410 is an odd flight level, going eastbound. Flight level 420, however, is not available, because you need 2,000 foot separation due to altimeter inaccuracy at these higher flight levels. So, the next even flight level above 410 is going to be flight level 430. So going westbound, above level 410, you need to be in 430. And then going eastbound, the next level again is 450. And that is the flight levels that you got available up here. So when you file your flight plan, remember 420 and 440 are no available flight levels. You need to do flight level 430 going westbound and level 450 going eastbound. The next westbound level then is again 470 and so on. That is how you do your altitudes at these extremely high flight levels. So we've got 1,000 to go. 17 minutes, 1,000 feet a minute. Okay, so it's going to be 18 minutes by the time we reach level 450. That's quite good still. Then slightly increasing power on number 1, getting back to 850 turbine temperature. But looks like we're at maximum power setting right now. So let's do number 2 now. Where we can probably still get a little bit out of the engine. Or not. Okay, so this is maximum. Okay, alt cell is capturing, alt hold came on. So we're leveling off now at 450. And here we go. Okay then, increasing speed, we're looking for Mach 0.80 for the cruise. It's a business jet after all, so we want to go fast. But many of you will probably be surprised that Mach 0.80 at level 450 isn't actually that fast. So remember that with increasing altitude, the true airspeed corresponding to your Mach number is eventually going to decrease once you're above the tropopause. So even though Mach 0.80 sounds rather quick, it isn't really much faster than 7-8 at the lower cruising altitudes. Something to keep in mind when you are telling everybody your shiny new jet is going in the 0.8s. Okay, so we'll go back to the weather. 160 nautical mile range, looking good. Okay, so 0.76, speed is still increasing. We'll start the next turn in a moment. Can already get the track from here. 079 it will be. So that's pre-selected. Okay, Mach 0.77. You can see the acceleration is getting rather slow at this time, because we're just flying at the upper limit of what the airplane can do. Quick fun fact while I come across it. If you have a look at the registration up here, November 421 Sierra Victor, and then look at the transponder, November 145 Alpha Juliet, something is wrong down here. Something is wrong. The transponder is probably not reading the same registration that the airframe itself does. Okay, turning track 079. Looking good. Alright, reaching Mach 0.79, we're gonna go Mach 0.80, and then we'll see if we can stabilize the airplane at that speed. Also worth pointing out the fuel flow, by the way. If you look over here, you can see we're doing roughly, what's that, 650 per engine. So we're looking at about 1,300 pounds per hour on this right now. So 1,300... it's okay. So, let's reduce power to maintain our speed. We just gotta figure out exactly how much we'll need now. So the way I'm doing is, I'm setting a certain power setting, looking at the resultant speed. So right now we're losing a little bit of speed, so we might need a bit more. Like that, we simply have to find our target power setting. It's a little annoying that we cannot just use our engine sync here. Okay, so we lost quite a bit of speed there. Let's use some more power. So I think if we just forget the power at where it is right now, speed should be around about stable. Maybe a little bit less even. Something like this. Now we're back at 0.8. 95% fan speed down here. The 95% and 1. That looks rather stable to me. We're going to leave it at that. So just a quick thing before we return to the back of the cabin. Select approach. Yes, it's going to be the on-off approach 03 from Yoke. Okay, load that up please. You can remove this. Okay, so that's our approach, and then let's just quickly go VNav. And obviously it would be rather handy if we had the charts available in the EFB right now. Unfortunately we don't, so I just have to use my Navigraph charts on my physical iPad in front of myself. I kind of hoped I would be able to show you all that stuff, but doesn't matter, let's use the charts on my iPad then. So generally, Sedona is at a rather high elevation, and that means we'll have a couple of things to take care of in the approach, but we'll talk about that later on. For now, Hukin 9,500 feet is what we're looking for. So 9,500 feet. And we can reach that at like, I don't know, a mile before is going to be totally fine. Hukin. And we'll descend at a profile of 2,500 feet a minute roughly. Like so. So our top of descent is in 9 minutes. Okay, now that we know how much time we have available in cruise, let's go ahead and have a little look at some of the other parts of the airplane. Namely, the cabin. Okay, doing Mach 8.1 right now. I slightly reduced power setting here. Should be fine. Cabin altitude's looking good as well, 8,000 feet. And just look at that. That's really beautiful, isn't it? It's kind of incredible how dark it is inside the cockpit, isn't it? And as we can see, our sunshades are still closed. Wonder why they didn't open them, but let's go ahead and do it ourselves now. That's just looking really beautiful. Whenever I see something like this, I'm always eager to take a couple of screenshots. Okay, but we got him now. Let's head right back in. Okay, here we are. So, let's turn slightly backwards then. And that is our cabin. I'm gonna start just opening the sunshades here, which are all simulated. Obviously, you just have a shortcut for those on the EFB as well, but I kind of prefer to do these things myself. Oh, that's interesting. That click spot is a little misplaced. They don't need to watch into the loo, do they? So we'll keep that one closed. Now let's look at it from the outside. Here we go. Neat, isn't it? I really like it. It's a good looking model. Okay, then back inside though. Oh, that's an interesting hand there. No comment on that. But a couple more animations we got available. We got the tables on each side over here. Like that. And then when going all the way back, have a look at what you got down here. So, there's stuff like, for example, the no smoking sign, but also the jacks for the headsets you can use in the plane. When going up to the ceiling, this is where the oxygen masks would come off. We've got the lights, which are simulated independently over here for all the different stations. Quite nice to see those. And then, having a look at this, we also got the entirety of the lights here. So we got, for example, the cabin lights, which are the big floodlights that we've got over here, looking quite good. Turn that off again. We got the dimmer, which is again, those in dim. Then on here we have the baggage light. Now the baggage light is just for the cargo compartment that we got in the back there. And over here, we can actually fill in physical luggage that we can visually see, but I didn't enable that on the... I did not enable that on the EFB. Okay then, cabin light back off. So, over here, there is not really much that we can do over here, so we can't open any of those cupboards, unfortunately. So, in the EFB there was an option to control the cockpit door. However, I didn't really find how to do that yet, because there doesn't seem to be a click spot here anyway. So, I suppose we just take the EFB for a moment. Cockpit door. Oh, here it is. Okay. And that actually works. Okay. Aha, so the click spot is hidden beyond here. So down there you can open it. Okay, that's nice. Alrighty. So, if we go over here, this is probably the seat where the toilet is hidden, is it? But it doesn't look like we can actually get that out. No, not really, yeah? Maybe the one over here? No. That's not a toilet, though. Okay, so that is the cabin of a Learjet 35. Let's just enjoy the view outside for a moment. Yeah, hi there. So that's about how they sit. That's a nice view. Must be an interesting feeling to constantly look inside the engine intake though, right? I wonder what it would sound like sitting right here in front of the engine in the plane. For sure it is a nice view outside, that much I can tell you. Seeing these wings must be really interesting, especially when you're doing an approach in like really bad weather. Okay, so can we do anything with these TVs up here? Doesn't look like it, no. Alright. So that's about the features we have available in the cabin of a Learjet. You can control all of those lights through the EFB as well, just like the equipment. So you got the trigger show passengers or not. You can control the sunshades, you can control the tables. A couple of controls on the sounds like N1 or N2 clackers. I wonder what that is. Maybe that's this clicking sound that we hear occasionally. Perhaps it is. Don't know. Okay then, over here we got some weather information. So a nice 21 knot tailwind that we've got right now, with a slight crosswind component as well. Up here we got the payload page that we're aware of already, and that's what I meant with the baggage loading. So you can see you've got all kind of different stuff that you can throw into the back of the plane there, and that's all supported with visual models. The only two stations where we don't have visual models is the pilot and the co-pilot seat. Though I wonder why, because it would be nice if we could just control the co-pilot as well. Like, maybe if you know, clicked on the model of the pilot here, maybe that's an idea on how to make a visual pilot visible inside the cockpit. But, well. Something I just about noticed over here on the control yoke. Have a look at the level of detail we can see in the reflection of the light here. As I told you earlier, they still want to rework quite some of those cockpit textures. And I have a feeling that when they bring the main panel textures up to the level of the detail of the textures on the yoke here, that's gonna look really, really good. Because for now, I do have to say that it looks a little bit like the good old days in Prepared, but they could do a little more work on the cockpit textures over here, that's for sure. Alright, so up then we got the fuel page. I basically showed you the exciting feature already that tells us the range of the plane live. And the last one we got then is the checklists. As you can see, not all that much to check out though. Well, obviously you could use them, but we'll keep it at that, huh? Okay, Something I would really like to see in here would be Navigraph charts, but I'm afraid that's at least not for now. Alright, so that is our general overview of the flight deck of the Learjet 35. Now, as you can see, we are running with a tailwind component here of about 20 knots, and we are doing ground speed of 670 now, so it's about, 670, I wish, of 470, so we're doing about 450 knots true airspeed right now. Speed is slightly decayed, 0.78 right now, so it's okay. Could be a little better, but it's okay. Message, approaching VNAV profile. Roger that. So let's start with a little general approach preparation that we can do. Okay, descent to target. Well, let's go ahead then. Come on. We'll start going down to like 37,000 or so. So VS required is now set. So vertical speed. Then we can use that button here to get it down. Now we just got to keep an eye on the speed because we are obviously doing a manual thrust here. Might have been a little quick. So reaching point 8. Car come back. And as we initiate the descent, we also got to get our cabin altitude descending. But remember to set that one to the field elevation. So Sedona is located at a rather high elevation of 4,800 feet, so just gonna make sure that we set 4,800 up here on the controls. Okay, with that our cabin is going down. We can also make it a little nicer for our passengers. Well, at least in theory we can. Looks like the button is currently not simulated, so the rate of descent seems to be fixed at 500 feet a minute right now. That shall be fine for me. Okay, so with that, we're descending nicely. Keeping the speed under control here is the main thing probably in the descent. As you can see, it's doing a pretty good job at that. Okay, so new course is 081. It's set. And that's set. Okay then, let's get our target altitude further down. Let's do some 20,000 or so. Something for you to keep in mind as you are checking your vertical profile on the GPS, obviously, is that the vertical speed required depends quite significantly on your airspeed. So when we're increasing our airspeed right now, you will see that the vertical speed required is also going to increase rather significantly. Something worth pointing out on most business jets is that, as you can see, we are using quite a bit of thrust in the descent. And that is actually intentional. The reason is, these things typically have a drag profile that is rather significant. So, by letting the speed increase now, we are still using a lot of thrust, and even if we were to keep the speed constant, you can see it's barely increasing here. Even if we were to keep the speed constant, then we would still need a lot of thrust. Now the reason for that is twofold. First of all, have a look at the deck angle. We're descending at like a -5-degree pitch now. From the outside you can see that a little bit more impressively, so that's like okay. As I always mentioned on all my videos, passengers don't feel a descent rate, but they do feel the angle at which your airplane is descending. So by keeping the angle moderate, the same goes for the climb by the way, you're keeping things nice for the passengers. And that is exactly what we're doing over here. By doing 2,500 feet a minute, we make sure that we don't descend too quickly, while at the same time keeping a nice profile for everything. Now, in order to keep the speed, we do need thrust in the descent. That's quite normal for most business jets, and that comes with a twofold advantage. First of all, we got the... Well, first of all is... I kind of got stuck over here for a bit. So, the first thing is that we can keep a very nice control of our speed, and if we need to reduce speed, we simply pull off the power and the speed is coming down pretty much immediately. The second thing is that by having a high level of thrust, we also have a high level of air available for cabin pressurization. And that is actually needed in order to control our cabin over there. So if you ever lose control over your cabin and starts not descending quick enough, or maybe even climbing, then just add a little bit of power. That's typically going to work rather well. Alright, so that is just some of the stuff worth pointing out here as we are descending in the Learjet. Obviously, as speed is increasing, so is the lift, so we might need to give it a little push every now and then in order to keep coming down correctly. Completely fine, and as it should be. Okay, so we're doing 290 knots now. And I want to convert from to 300, which is like the maximum the airplane can do. Well, 305 or something the like, so converting on to 300 knots is going to give us the best possible forward speed. Now, business jets, as I mentioned, usually just fly at the maximum speeds. There's not too much thinking about economy or stuff going on. You just descend at whatever speed your airplane can do. Ultimately, there's one great difference between flying a business jet and flying an airliner. That is, business jets don't fly that much. Like the example we are doing right now, we are basically flying as a private guy who owns a jet. And you can imagine how often he's going to fly that jet, which is only going to be like, you know, a few times per year, really. Some fly their jets as little as 12 hours, which is what they need to maintain their license. So, fuel economy doesn't matter too much in these situations, you know. When you're just flying that few flights, then it doesn't make much of a difference if you're using a tiny bit more thrust and thus a tiny bit more fuel in order to maintain a high forward speed, or if you are, you know, going really careful about everything, like the airlines do. So that's just a little bit of business jet theory going on. So nothing to worry about. Okay, so descending nicely, speed is well controllable. You do need to make small inputs, no question about that. Like you can see, I'm barely changing N1 over here in order to make an adjustment. But apart from that, the plane is doing really well. Okay, descending a bit quick right now. Let's just get the nose up a tiny bit. But you can see even the tiniest input here is doing almost like 1,000 feet a minute change in the rate of descent. That's what you get for flying such high speeds. So 2,300 feet a minute required, looking good. I wonder where that hold comes from down in the GPS over there. The routing should be from Huken Exudi Bami Lom. So let's go ahead and get rid of that holding. Remove, yes, thank you. And then from down here we should hopefully have on-off guidance available for the approach. But I'm not sure how that's going to work in the Learjet yet, so we'll see whether we will get the on-off guidance or not. Okay then, descent 9,500, which is from where we are going to start the approach. And that is going to be on an altimeter setting of 3017. Set once, twice, 3 times, passing 20,000 feet now. Okay, looking good. By the way, worth noting, look at the standby altimeter here. I'm not sure what exactly the needle is showing us here. You can see the reading on the inner part are correct compared with the primary altimeters, but the needle is, well, doing something. Not sure what exactly that's about. But look at the terrain. That's really lovely, isn't it? Such a good-looking aircraft. I'm totally in love with that Learjet look of aircraft. Be it the 25 all the way through the Learjet 70. That is what a private jet looks like to me. Is coming a little high right now. Let's pull off a bit of power, and that is looking good. Okay, so the track should be 082 now. Match the heading. Couple functions worth pointing out. Down here, you got that selector where you can choose what you want to see on the top left. So first of all, we are set to GPS navigation right now. If you wanted to do the VOR navigation, you need to change that around. Now, right now, I've set it to distance, so it shows us the distance to the next waypoint. We can, however, go to time to go, or ground speed that we're doing. So that's a couple of things that are really neat to see there, that are easily missed by flight simmers. That the heading knob here is a 2-fold knob, and you got that little selector on the inside there as well. But it's always worth noting, or knowing, what your instruments are capable of doing. You never know when that stuff might come in handy. Let's say, for example, you want to fly a 3-degree glide slope, put it to speed. Take 5 times the speed. Little stuff like that. Really handy for controlling your aircraft. Okay, so 2,500 feet a minute is needed. We are doing like 1,900, so let's just tip the nose down button. And down we go. 2,500, looking good. What's the cabin altitude doing? Already down at field elevation. A little bit lower even. Let's make sure that goes up to about 4.8. Okay, the latest wind is 040 at 12. That means it's going to be a straight headwind on runway 03. So it's going to be an easy job for us. And hopefully it's going to be a beautiful one. Sedona really features an incredible approach. Can't wait to actually see that. Okay, 2 more minutes to Houston. Let's start pulling a bit of that power, and now you'll see how easy it is to lose speed in a plane like the Learjet. Going to go straight down towards 220. So power all the way to idle. Let's see if there is actually an effect on the pressurization, but it doesn't look like it. Maybe we are just low enough anyway that we don't need to worry about it anymore. Not sure. Look at that, power is coming back nicely. Okay, let's pitch up a little to get the airspeed really down. 1,000 feet a minute rate of descent is looking good to me. Okay, alt select armed. Speed 250 is already reached, very good. Okay, and after Hukin we can descend towards 8,000 feet for Exudi. Thereafter 7,200 for Balmy, and that's where we start our final descent. Okay, 220 knots is reached. I'm gonna go for speed hold now. Let's see, we need still 2,500 feet a minute. Very good. Look at that, in idle it's giving us round about that. But the deck angle is getting rather low now, below 5 degrees, so that may not be that nice for our passengers anymore. Looking at it from the outside, that's what it looks like. -5 is okay, but no lower, please. If we need to really lose speed, we always can just use the speed brakes. The switch is located over here beyond the throttle. And they are really effective on the Learjet. Really effective. Okay, let's turn on to the final track, 035. Okay, and thereafter, let's now go down. Speed hold again. So, we're looking for 8,000. Okay, established on the final track. Okay, we level at 8,000 and then we're going to lose our speed. Can we see our destination already? Might be the one over there. Let's get a little closer and then we'll see. Okay, alt captured. Now we'll have the speed come back. Something about 160 or so for the approach. Okay, next descent is going to be 7,200 to reach at Balmy. So, speed is below 200, flaps 8, and then let's go speed hold, alt select. Obviously, it would be favorable to use vertical speed mode over here. It's just that with all the reaching down over here, it's a little hard to do that all the time, so I'm going the easy way. Okay, so fasten belts on, lights on, ignition on, that's it. Okay, so we're getting a vertical profile now from our GNS. So what we can do now is glide slope armed. Okay, passing 180 knots. That's our runway, straight up front. Okay, flaps 20, gear down. Glide path captured. Go around altitude 12,000 set. Okay, let's keep 160 until we're at 4 miles. Thrust reverse is armed. Okay then, approach speed is gonna be like 130-ish. So 4 miles out, let's decay the speed down to our final approach speed. Just look at that beautiful terrain here on the approach to Sedona. That's looking really neat, isn't it? I do have to say though, I am using a couple of add-ons. So first of all, there's the enhanced Sedona from Microsoft, and then obviously I downloaded a couple of sceneries for the area from Flysim.to as well. All of which together are looking really, really good. Like, compare the default Microsoft terrain here with the enhanced one from Flysim.to over here. That's no comparison, is it? I wonder what that is. Probably some snowy area or so? I don't know. Looking really nice. Looking really, really nice. Okay then, back into the cockpit. We can land with flaps 20, we can also use 40. Let's just do 40 for the fun of it. Should probably have configured that a bit earlier, but it doesn't matter. Okay, autopilot off. See, yaw damper is off. Cool. So it's getting rather turbulent here. 120 for the final is good. Okay, power idle. That's a bit high for the flare. And we're down. Okay, reverse is out, manual brakes, 80 knots. Nose wheel steering on. And here we are, welcome to Sedona. I do have to say, especially initially, it is quite hard to figure out the point where you actually need to flare the airplane. That does take a little bit of a challenge. What's that taxi light doing here? How about oh, that's interesting. Well, I'm not gonna ask. I'm not gonna ask. Welcome back to Flight Simulator, everyone. Okay then. So, ignition off, taxi lights, and strobe lights off. Flaps going back to 8, and that should be it. Can deselect those flight director modes as well there. Okay, and then we'll just go straight ahead over here, next to the right, and all the way to the terminal. Oh, and weather radar off. Not exactly used to having to do that too much anymore. Transponder we can switch to on as well, so out of the altitude mode. So, 55 minutes flight time. It didn't feel that long, but you had quite a bit of stuff to do on this plane, so that's not too surprising. Okay then, we'll take the next parking spot over here. A little bit of power maybe. Yeah, looks like it. This stop right now is exactly what you don't want to do. Never stop your airplane in a turn. Not a good idea. I do have to say, I did expect it to roll a little bit further forward. That was a bit too much power, but here we go. A little harsh braking, but hey. We're a private pilot here, flying the plane like 10 flights a year. Okay, so taxi light's going off, and then let's go ahead and turn about everything off that we have. So, avionics. Okay, nav light can come off as well. Down here, everything is off as it should be. Okay, so it's interesting. You switch the levers off, and they do take a little while until they start shutting down. Here they come. Worth noting, when the avionics switches off, the Com1 unit actually is going to stay powered, so that's correct over here. So generators off, fasten belts off, inverters off, and batteries off. Beacon light will be off already, but here we go. Alright guys, so welcome to Sedona. Let's go ahead and open up that door. And here we go, that's it. Welcome to Sedona. And naughty children, did you not stow your tables for the land name? You. Alright, so that's about it guys. Thank you very much for flying along. I do hope you enjoyed it. And now it's your turn. Let me know what you think about the Learjet 35A from Flysimware. Personally, I really like it. And I know it is a work in progress, so it is that early version that the early access promotes, but it honestly feels quite good. The outside model is looking quite amazing already. The inside model is going to get an upgrade soon, at least according to the text file. My parking skills hopefully are going to get that upgrade as well. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, definitely. But it is a pretty good looking airplane, and it is a pretty promising airplane as well. I wish it was a Learjet 70, but it is a Learjet 35, and as such it is doing a great job for being Learjet 35. A little bit of stuff about everywhere that they can improve upon, but remembering the update history of the Chancellor, I'm pretty sure that we're going to see the same on the Learjet as well. So with that, thank you very much for watching everyone. Do hope you did enjoy it. Let me know in the comments what you think about the airplane, and if you think that it is worth the $40 asking price. And then I am looking forward to see you all again on the next one. In the meantime, Happy New Year everyone. For those of you watching it close to New Year's Day, for all the others, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy whatever time it is when you're watching this. Enjoy flying whatever airplane you're flying. And I see you all again straight on the next one. Thank you very much. And as always, if you really like my videos, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much, and see you on the next one.